All right, folks, here we go. So if you look at the top of your notes, you can see that we're still talking about equations. Everybody see how the top says equations day 2? So that's the good news. Bad news is you don't see any equations on this paper because you are now going to have to read the situation and write your own equation. Okay, now I'm going to try and give you some tips and tricks that'll help you because I know you guys hate word problems, right? Okay, but you got to understand what it means, so we're going to do them anyways. So as we go through this, I'm not going to solve all of them, okay, because I don't need to practice solving them. I need to practice you guys actually writing them. Are you ready? Okay, follow along with me here. It says write an equation for each situation. So does it tell me that I need to solve the problems in this warm-up? No. Here we go. The perimeter of a regular octagon is 128 inches. How long is each side? So first of all, I need to define a variable, and I need to know what this question is asking me to find. What is this question asking me to find? The length of each side. So instead of writing out something is equal to length of each side, what I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to circle this or put a box around it, and then I want you to tell me what variable you want to use. R. Okay, so we will use R for that. So remember, we have to define our variables. Is everybody okay with me defining my variable like that instead of writing it out? Yes? Do you understand what I mean by writing it out? Before I was saying R equals the length of each side. Is that okay? Hello? Okay, thank you. So how am I going to write an equation whose answer will tell me how long a side is? Well, first of all, what's an octagon? 8 sides. What does it mean if it's regular? All of the sides are the same. So if I wanted to find the perimeter of this octagon where all the sides are the same, what would I do? What would I divide by 8? So 128 divided by 8, and what will that equal? Not the actual number. R, that will tell me the length of each side, won't it? Yes? Now, that's only one correct answer. If you want to find the perimeter, don't you just add up all the sides? Well, how many sides are there? 8, and they're all the same size, correct? So wouldn't I represent that like that? 8 times my side R. Is that okay? And what do I want the perimeter to be? And I want it to equal 128. So either of those equations would be acceptable. How are we doing there, guys? Okay, let's move on. Number 2. No, we're just writing them. Marta has twice as much money as Heidi. Together, they have $36. How much does each have? So, what am I trying to find? Each of them, correct? I'm not allowed to use 2 variables. I'm only allowed to use 1 variable, but I got 2 people, right? So I hope that you've heard this last year, okay, from Mr. Catafias. But your variable is always going to be whatever you know the least amount about. So who do I know the least amount about, Marta or Heidi? I don't know anything about Heidi, right? So we're going to make H be Heidi. Now, they tell me that together they have 36, right? So what does that tell me about my equation? Not divided by 2 because she has twice as much as Heidi. So they don't have the same amount, do they? So if I would divide it by 2, they'd have the same amount. Okay, you guys aren't answering my question. Listen to my question. If I know that all together they have 36, that should tell me something about my equation. No. How much do they have all together? So my total should be 36, shouldn't it? Don't they have that all together? So let's break this down. If I have Marta's and I have Heidi's, whoops, this gives me the total, right? What do I do with their 2 amounts to get the total? I'm going to add them, right? Now, I already know what Heidi is. What am I using for Heidi? H. Now, what do I know about Marta? It's twice that. So how do I show twice Heidi? 2h. Now we're not squaring it. Twice means to multiply by 2. So this would be an acceptable answer. There's another acceptable answer though, because can I put those two h's together? What do you get if I put those two h's together? So this would be another acceptable answer. Either of these two things, folks, are good in this situation. How are we doing? Doing okay? Let's do another one like that. Claire and Alice sold coupon cards. Alice sold 32, and together they sold 56. How many did Claire sell? Coupon cards. Like the football coupon cards, or you see McDonald's coupon cards, you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Okay. I'll wait. What do I want to know here? What is my variable going to be? I want to know what my variable is. I don't know Claire, do I? So C is going to be my variable. Okay. They have a total, don't they? What is the total? If I want the total, that means I have to add them both together. Well, I know Alice, don't I? What is it? I know Claire, don't I? What is it? C. So this is an acceptable answer, but there's an... Can I put those two things together and make it 32C? Am I allowed to add 32 with C? No. That's the acceptable answer. There's another way you could do it, though. No? Anybody have another way? If you were given this problem, how would you solve it? How? Yeah, I would take the total, I would subtract what I know, and then that would give me Claire, wouldn't it? So either of those equations would be all right. There's always more than one way to do it. Always. But we're not going to solve them until we get into the other problems today. All right? Read it to yourself, please. What am I trying to find? How many calls did they make? And I don't know either of them, right? But who do I know nothing about? I don't know anything about Clark. So we're going to use C for Clark. They told me a total again, didn't they? Everybody good? Okay, well, if I add them together, that'll give me my total. What do I know about Shelly? What does 5 more mean? Plus, not times, not 5 times more, 5 more. So 5 plus C, there's Shelly, right? Is that okay for everybody? What are we using for Clark? Nope, what are we using for Clark? We're using C for Clark. Everybody all right? So that's acceptable. But if you wanted to, you could actually put these two C's together. It would be 2C and then plus the 5 equals 33. Questions, folks? Yes, Dalton. No. This is Clark for this C. This is also Clark because it says Shelly made 5 more than Clark. So if I take Clark and I add 5 to it, that tells me what Shelly's total was. Does that make sense? The C's are the same thing. Yep. All right, I think I got 2 more in this section, right? Yeah? You can knock it off. The perimeter of a rectangle is 36 centimeters. The length is twice as long as the width. Find the length and width. What? No, you don't need to. What am I trying to find? The length and width. I can't use 2 variables. I can't use L and W, can I? No. Which one do I know nothing about? I don't know anything about the width, do I? They tell me anything about the width? No. How do I find the perimeter. What are we going to do? We're going to add all the sides together. Are all of these sides the same size? No. How many lengths are there? How many lengths are there in a rectangle? No. 2. This is a rectangle, right, folks? Aren't these both lengths? And these are both widths? Are you guys following me or not? Okay. So I have 2 lengths and I have 2 widths. If I add them together, that'll give me the perimeter. So I need 2, and I need to put my lengths here, and I need 2 widths, and then that'll equal the perimeter. Okay? It's much easier when all the sides are the same size. So I know width. What am I using for width? W. I also know the perimeter. What's my perimeter? 36. Now the question is, what am I putting in there for length? What do I know about the length? It's twice as long as the width. How do I show twice as long as the width? Twice as long. Guys, what does twice mean to do? Times 2. So I need to take the width, and I need to multiply it by 2. Well, the width is W, right? So if I multiply it by 2, it's 2W. So I'm going to put a 2W in here. Well, this looks pretty silly up here, doesn't it? The way it's written. It looks like 22W, so you better put your parentheses in there like that. This is a totally acceptable answer. Or you could simplify it. What is 2 times 2W? So now it looks like this. Am I allowed to put those together? And that would also be an acceptable answer. So really here, there are 3 possible answers. And actually, I can think of a 4th one, but we don't really need to talk about it. Everybody okay? Perimeter, add up all the sides, right? What about area? The area of a rectangle. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Well, that's a cube. A rectangle is just flat, right? If it's a box, a cube, I don't really have one up here. What, this right here? If I want to find the volume, it'd be length times width times height. But I want area. It's just length times width. Okay? So I need to find my length. And I'm going to multiply it by my width. And that's going to give me the area. Somebody fill in some blanks for me, please. Perfect. That's the area. Now I'm down to length and width. Well, I can't use L and W. I can only use one variable. So which one do I know nothing about? The width I know nothing about. So we're going to make that W, which means I can put my W right there. What do I know about the length? Longer, right? What operation does longer mean? Add. 6 centimeters longer than the width. How's everybody doing? Pretty bad? What are you not getting here, Tyler? Do you understand that the area formula is length times width? Okay, so that's why I have length times width equals area. Are we good with the 102 in there? Okay. Are you good with seeing that last sentence where the width is what I know nothing about? Okay, so that's why I put the W in there for width. Now this says the length of the rectangle is 6 centimeters longer. Longer means to add it on, right? So I'm going to take my W and I'm going to add on 6, and that's what my length is going to be. For example, if I told you that the width was 10 and the length is 6 longer, wouldn't you just do 10 plus 6? That's what we're doing here, but we don't know what W is. Is that all right? Okay, now this still looks kind of silly because I need to multiply by both of these terms. So I would probably put some parentheses around there. If you don't like this W being at the end, you can pull that W out front. I will tell you, please do not try and distribute this. You don't know how yet. We'll do this in chapter 4. Okay, please don't distribute this. You don't know how. Everybody okay? You sure? Okay. All right, so let's actually get into our notes today. These are the type of problems that you're going to see on your worksheet. Most of the time, there is going to be a part A and a part B, meaning the first part you're going to write the equation, the second part you're going to plug something in and solve it. Sound good? Okay, read the first question just to yourself. Go ahead. Does everybody understand the situation? What's happening in this situation? Describe it to me. He's renting movies. How much does it cost him? $10 just up front, right? But then he also could have to pay what else? $150 per title for the movies, okay? Okay, let's look at letter A there. Write an equation to determine the total amount Mr. Hernandez spends this month. Do I know how much he spends this month? No, so I'm going to make a variable, okay? And on your homework, the variables will already be listed for you. Okay, what do you want to use for the variable for the total amount? I heard about 3 different letters. What do you guys want to go with? I'm hearing more M's. Okay. If I want to calculate how much he spends, his total amount, how much he spends, how would you calculate that? What would you do to find out his total bill? What does he pay? $10? What else does he pay? $1.50 per title. Do I know how many titles in part A that he's renting? I don't know. Not in part A, do I? So let's use T for that. Everybody all right? Now I know what you're thinking. You just said that you couldn't use 2 variables and we're using 2 variables, right? Is that what you're thinking? Okay, well, okay. So it's $1.50 per title. So there is my equation. Letter B. Solve the equation if he rents 3 movies. So what are you going to do to solve it for renting 3 movies? We're not cubing it. We're not taking it to that power. Quentin? You're going to put 3 in for T because a movie is a title, isn't it? So we're going to put it in the T and we're going to put it in parentheses. Yep. So this will be 10 plus $1.50 times those 3 movies. And whatever I get here, that's going to be the amount of money, or M, that he's going to spend. So how much is he going to spend? $14.50. How'd we do? Following okay? All right, let's try another one like that. Down at the bottom there, right? Last one on the front. Go ahead and read it to yourself. We got the situation? Somebody describe it to me. What's happening here? Go ahead, Dalton.
She's paying $2 per yoga class.
Okay.
She's paying $16 for a gym membership.
Uh-huh.
But her yoga class is $2.
An additional $2, right? Okay, so letter A, write an equation to determine the total amount she spends this month. I'm trying to find the total amount, right? Do I know the total amount? What do you want to use for it? Is M for money? Okay, we can use M again. M equals. Okay, so tell me how you would calculate what she pays. Trevor? Yeah, you want to use Y for the yoga class? Got it. Perfect. All right, letter B now. Solve the equation if she does 12 yoga classes. What are you going to do with that 12? And the Y, right? Okay, here we go. How much is she going to pay that month? $40 even? Questions, folks, before we flip over to the back? We're doing okay? All right. If a certain 50 horsepower generator requires 2 gallons of gasoline daily while it is in idle, and 4 gallons of gasoline daily when it is powering a tractor or trailer. Write an equation to find G, the total daily gasoline requirement for this generator, then solve. Folks, did they tell you the variable to use? What is it? G. Everybody all right? Now, does everybody know what a generator is? Gives you power when you don't have power, right? Runs on gasoline. Does everybody know what idle is? What's the problem? Some can. There's gasoline powered one as well. Mm-mm. What's idle mean? It's just running. It's not powering anything. Like if you're sitting in your car and mom's got it in park and you just have it on for the air conditioner to be on. That's idle, right? Okay. If it's actually powering something, okay, then it's actually running. Everybody good with the situation? So how am I going to find the number of gallons of gasoline that are used? What do you think? It's a G. How many gallons of gasoline are going to be used? What equation would you write? All the information is right there for you. How much gas is going to be used? How'd you find that? 2 when it's in idle, 4 when it's running. So when all is said and done, I need 6 gallons of gas for that thing for the whole day. How is it? Everybody all right there? We knew everything we needed to know to answer that question, didn't we? That's why we didn't have to plug in a number for a variable. We knew everything. Let's try again. Your town decides to build a volleyball court. If the court is approximately 40 by 70 feet and its surface is of sand 1 foot deep, the court will require about 166 tons of sand. A local sand pit sells sand for $11 per ton with a delivery charge of $3 per ton. Write an equation to find the total cost of the sand for this court. Then solve the equation. Did they tell me a variable to use? No, they didn't. But I know I need to find a total cost, don't I? So what do you want to use for a total cost? Guys, what do you want to use for a total cost? C, total cost. All right, so how am I going to know what I have to pay for the sand? There's some numbers in there you don't actually need, so don't get tripped up by those. Don't need 40 by 70. I do need that. That's how many tons of sand I need, so I got to buy that. Say it again. Yeah, 40 by 70 is pretty big. Go ahead, Savannah. Okay, so is everybody good with that number? Is everybody good with that number or no? Do you know how she got the 14? There's not even a 14 up there. Yeah, you add $11 for the sand and $3 for the truck to get it out there. That makes $14 for each ton. How we doing? Fine? So then solve it now. How much are we going to pay for the sand for this volleyball court? Uh-huh. Sorry. That's a lot of money. Well, you got to figure you're not going to put some junky sand on a volleyball court because it's going to be, you're diving around all over it, right? You want some nice soft sand? Uh-huh. Moving on. The speed of sound. Speed of sound travels at 1,088 feet per second. So that means me talking and getting that sound to your ears and you hearing it, it travels at 1,088 feet per second. That's fast, right? Isn't that fast? Well, yeah, it's fast because you hear it right when I say it. It's not like I'm speaking and then later you hear it, right? It's getting right to your ears. At sea level at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Write and solve an equation to find the distance sound travels in 8 seconds under these conditions. What am I trying to find? What's the end sentence say? What am I trying to find? The distance is what I'm trying to find. What do you want to use for distance? D. Okay. So how am I going to find distance if I know a speed and I know an amount of time? Multiply them. I want you guys to think of this scenario. Ready? I'm driving at 50 miles an hour and I'm driving for 2 hours. How far did I go? 50 miles in 2 hours, you went 100 miles, right? Because you multiplied them. You take your speed and you multiply it by the time. So that's what we're going to do here. The distance is the speed that you're traveling times the time that you're traveling in. Speed that you're traveling times the time that you're traveling it in. How much is that? 8,704? And this is distance, and it looks like the distance is measured in feet. 704? Thank you. So, the sound, me speaking, can travel 8,704 feet in 8 seconds. It's fast. Okay. How am I doing? I'm almost down there, right? To the end? Yeah? A teacher has 15 weeks in which to teach 6 chapters. Write and then solve an equation that represents the number of lessons the teacher must teach per week if there is an average of 8.5 lessons per chapter. What am I trying to find? How many lessons I need to teach, right? What do you want to use for that? N for number of lessons. Okay. Well, how am I going to figure out how many lessons I need to teach every week from this information? 8.5 for every chapter. How many chapters do I have? 6, right? So what are you going to do with those two numbers to get a total number of lessons? 8.5 per chapter for 6 chapters. Say it again. I just didn't hear you, Tyler. Multiply. Yep. We're going to take those 6 chapters, multiply it by 8.5. That gives me a total number of lessons. But I have 15 weeks to do this in. So what are you going to do with the 15 now? You're going to divide it by 15, and that will tell me my total number that I need to get in every week. So I cover everything. 3.4 lessons every week in order for me to get through all 6 chapters. Okay. Oh, sorry. What's that? He's all right. I am good. You have a worksheet today for homework. You need to make sure that you read them carefully and use the variables that you're given, okay?